What's up, guys? In today's episode, I go over how I overcame my hatred for LTD. Stay tuned. What is up, you guys? It's your boy, Torres, and I have always been a guitarist, meaning there are some companies that I, for years, just would not stay, wouldn't associate myself with, wouldn't play them, hated that they even existed, so that made me a guitarist. So there's a little guitarism in everyone. And, I'll start with the original, which was the Paul Reed Smith in general. So when I was in college, this one kid, Anthony, had a Paul Reed Smith. And because he kind of was in that hair metal genre, I hated it. I associated that kind of metal, soft, glam, singing tone to Anthony and his band. So I always just assumed that that's the kind of guitar that you would play. And at the time I had a Charvel Fusion Custom. But to me, Paul Reed Smith was always... Dude, I cannot stand that company, can't stand the shape, can't stand anything about it. Yo, literally, I'm going back to like 1990, okay? So we're going back 31 years that I hated Paul Reed Smith with a passion. Then, fast forward years later, and there are certain bands that are heavy as sin that are using Paul Reed Smith guitars. So of course, here are all these metal bands, and they are legit using amazing, incredible Paul Reed Smiths that are gorgeous. And they've always kind of had that beautiful quilted, they always had quilted tops, beautiful flame tops. But now they are playing ridiculously heavy, and they're using, some of these bands are using Paul Reed Smiths. So fast forward, I ended up randomly, some guy in my area was selling one for dirt cheap, as the story goes. He was getting his roof just having a new roof placed on his house, and he ended up telling the owner, I'm going to have money for you tomorrow. The guy owned like 10 Paul Reed Smiths, ended up selling one for $1,100. I saw it online, did some quick research, turned out that it was actually a Paul Reed Smith Custom 24 10 top, and I reached out to the guy and I got it. Fell in love with it right out of the rip. So now that changed my mind and ended up buying a second Paul Reed Smith. So that was kind of like my first experience with, hey, I hate these guitars. Like, dude, even more so. And sorry if you guys love these guitars, but I've never liked Fender Stratocasters or Telecasters, even though I actually have a Carvin TL60, which is a Telecaster shape. But that thing rips, period. So there's certain brands that I just never liked. And of course, because I've been a huge ESP fan for years, LTD was one of those. And, I felt bad because I'm LT. How do I not like LTD when I'm LT? So, since 1996, when they first came out with LTDs, I was just like, never. I'll never play an LTD. No way. Why would ESP even do that? you know, if you're going to have a low-end company, like why would you even call it another 3-letter acronym? You know, so there's ESP, and then there's LTD, which just stands for limited. And I sit back and I'm just like, dude, it doesn't even stand for anything other than limited, whereas ESP actually is the acronym for a longer name. So I've always had tons of hatred at the fact that I never, you know, kind of gave LTD their fair share of the market or enough love. So a bunch of guys had actually told me, you know, try to get an early one that were made in Japan, which is literally like the first batch made in Japan in 1996. And I bought one, and that's actually hanging on the side. It's an ash body. It's absolutely incredible. It is literally an ESP standard series. So if you have a standard series, bolt-on is what I'm talking about. That's exactly what the first batch of LTDs were, because they were made at the same factory as ESP's standard line, and they did that on purpose because they wanted to launch the LTD line at a level that people are going to appreciate if you liked ESP. So that made sense. I bought one, and I kind of was like, okay, I can see why it's a good guitar. You know, this is even before they were called the M series. You know, it's basically an LTD M2. So a bunch of guys watched that episode that I had, and they kind of were just like, hey, if you like that guitar, you really should try the early 2000s LTD M1000s. And, you know, if you watch, you know, and I'm you know, a hardcore kid, right? So, you know, one of the bands that I've always liked is HAAAATED, and I know one of the guitarists actually used an LTD M1000 and bought one just, you know, for shits and giggles. I'm just like, you know what? If everyone says that this is as great of a quality as any ESP, then I need to at least try it. Bought one for $450, instantly fell in love with it, but figured that it had to be a fluke. Why? Because it's LTD and not ESP. But keep in mind that even I instantly realized that the 2000, I think it's the 2004 LTD M1000 Deluxe was nearly identical to my $2,500 ESP M2 Custom. And that says a lot. Like, that's, you know, I was just like, this has to be, no, dude, this can't be an LTD, and there has to be some kind of a gimmick. Maybe they did something for a year or two, and that's why that kind of feels the way it does. So I went ahead and bought a second one, and I think there's a 3-year gap. I think one is a 2005, the other one's a 2008. Yo, exactly the same. And I was like, okay, all right, ESP, I see what you guys are doing with LTD. And the second one I bought for $465, and I had to try something else. That something else was that guy right there, which is the LTD EC1000 Deluxe, and it is a 2011 model. But you know, to me, the one thing I kind of wanted to look for, and this is what everyone said, is always look for the LTDs in the 2000s that had the abalone binding around the body, around the headstock and the fretboard, because they were made in Korea and are built like just like any ESP Eclipse would be. So, you know, keep in mind that I've owned a number of Gibson Les Pauls. So I'm already thinking like, all right, well, if everyone that I know that likes Les Pauls and likes ESP and LTD usually get the Eclipse, let me get this guy. And it was someone in Queens that was selling there. So it took like 2 days to arrive here. The only thing I needed to do was I had to get some WD-40. I had to kind of polish all the hardware. Threw on new strings, oiled the fretboard, and it absolutely sounds incredible. It came loaded with Seymour Duncan JBs in the bridge and the neck, and I wanted to play it for a little bit just so you guys can hear what this guy sounds like. So let me go ahead and get this puppy going. Okay, so other than the fact that this guitar just has a absolutely gorgeous flame maple, and it's a veneer, so you know it's not going to be, it's literally just a thin layer of it, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. It has the ESP locking tuners. It is set neck, has the rear contour, the abalone around, the same flame maple top with a burst. So this is probably going to be the vintage burst, I would imagine is what they call it. And of course the Seymour Duncan JBs. This is a 24 fret guitar, but I thought it was actually 25.5, and yesterday I confirmed that it actually is 24 3/4. So it feels just a little different, but it's still fine and sounds great. So I'm going to be using my PV6505 Plus and running that to my Maxon OD 808 and my ISP Decimator X, which is the little mini version. Hold on one second, because I need to adjust this right here. Okay, that way it's static. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys like the way this sounds. Maybe not the playing, because I'm terrible, but you'll get the gist. So there you guys have it, Louie and his dadcore. Let me adjust this again. Right there. Okay, so yeah, I mean, listen, I hated LTD for so many years, but I'm super glad that a lot of you guys literally changed my mind, and their quality and build is just absolutely incredible. So what do I have? I have my LTD there, I have that other one there. So I have 4 LTDs, and I think it's like 12 ESPs. So I have a bunch of them now. And the funny thing is, I will, unless I get a deal on an ESP, you know, I'll be buying LTDs from now on. And I'm still on the search for an LTD MH1000 Deluxe, which is basically a Horizon. And I have 2 Horizon customs. This is one of them. This is my 1991 ESP Horizon custom neck through body. And then I have another one with the older headstock, which is the teardrop. So, but guys, hopefully, you know, you will go out of your way and find a guitar company that you've always disliked, because Lord only knows we all have them. And try it out, and hopefully you'll like it, just like I, you know, literally spent nearly 30 years hating a company, and they're not half bad. Actually, no, I can't even say that. They're actually really great guitars. So, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, how dare you, jerkface? Click on it. Yo, legit, I was looking at my stats last night. It's something like 70% of you guys that watch my episodes aren't even subscribed. So if you think that you're subscribed, you're probably not. Jerk. 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 So yo, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hook your boy Lou up, and thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best, and as usual, I will talk to you guys soon.